What's up, guys? It's your girl Haley Pro, aka the SoundChick here. On today's interview, I speak with a few members from the band Hyperia. During our discussion, we take a closer look at their most recent album, Insanitorium. In addition to that, we talk about one of the tracks, Asylum, which actually has a music video out. So we dive deep into that a little bit as well. If you're looking to get into some new thrash music, definitely keep on listening. Hyperia is the band to check out next.
I'm Colin.
I'm Marley.
I'm Dave.
And we are from Hyperia, and we are speaking with the SoundChick.
I'm just gonna get in real deep here. You know, your most recent piece of work was Insanitorium. You guys released that earlier this year. Tell me a little bit about this album. You know, for those who haven't listened to it, what can they expect from it?
Yeah, it's our first full-length album. We consider our style kind of melodic thrash metal. Basically, it's fast songs, thrashy, heavy instrumentals, and then Marley has a mixture of kind of power metal vocals with death metal vocals with thrashy kind of vocals, kind of all over the place with vocals. But yeah, I think we've got a bit of a good reception from it. I think if you're into kind of like melodic death metal, or if you're into kind of thrash, melodic thrashy stuff, then I think that you would dig it for sure. But the only way to find out is to check it out yourself, I guess.
For sure. I mean, I definitely could agree with you there. It has a very wide mixture of style influences, and it's awesome. I love it. What would you guys say is your favorite tracks off of this album to have worked on?
This is Marley. Everybody's different in what they're kind of like. I think because we all have different styles of music that we like. I really like Start by Guilt. That's one of my faves.
I would say Dystopia for me.
I was gonna second Dystopia. I just love how it goes up and down in like ballistic, like solos, melodies.
I guess
Marley's vocals going like through the roof
fun to sing,
on it.
Yeah.
We were actually just joined by our drummer Jordan as well. So
Hello.
He just came downstairs.
Going back to the question, my favorite song would definitely be Nullified. It's got a bit of a different influence than like some of the main songs, because it's like one of the main chorus riffs kind of has like a black metal influence, and I definitely like that. It kind of sets some of the other songs apart from that, and it's a lot of fun to play too.
That's awesome. I know that Marley said that you guys have a lot of influences or, you know, preferences music-wise. Take me through that. What are your guys' favorite bands or favorite influences that you put into your own musical style?
So I'm gonna just like preface this with saying I think like every one of us has such a varied style, which is cool, and I think that kind of comes across in our music, hopefully. But yeah, like I personally am really into kind of like Scandinavian melodic death metal bands or folk metal bands, bands like Kalma, Children of Bodom, Fintroll, and Sephirim. But then I also love the thrash bands like Havoc, Hatchet. I take inspiration from kind of all over. How about you, Dave?
Me, I like to take inspiration from a lot of thrash, pretty much. Like, I love bands just like, you know, Megadeth, like Xentrix, Slayer, stuff like that. I always just heavy on the thrash, and I love the melody. So Colin's like melodic background in that sense from what he was talking about really plays to that. And for the member that's not here, Scott, I also love all the heavy metal kind of power metal stuff, and that's what his influence is. Like, he loves pretty much bands like Running Wild, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, anything from the 80s, and he loves to really bring that influence into it.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of all over the place too with Colin with the Finnish bands, but I do like the bands he's mentioned, and then I like Flesh God, Apocalypse, Skeleton Witch, Crucix, Hatchet, and I love Dio just because his vocals are insane.
I'm really big into like death metal is definitely one of my main loves, and that's like a pretty big spectrum to draw from. So like, I don't know, like Immolation or like Blood Incantation or like even like Gojira, for example, or like Autopsy. There's a really wide variety to draw from, and I've always really liked the variety that death metal brings in general. And then, the common thread amongst all of us is definitely thrash metal. We all love thrash metal, and that definitely comes through in the music, because, like, despite us all having our own, individual influences, you can really tell that we all just love thrash in general, because that's, like, the one common thread amongst all of us, for sure.
All right.
Right. I mean, it's awesome that you guys have so many different influences, and you can definitely hear that in your music, especially with this album. I mean, it's very, I get a lot of thrash, I get a lot of death metal, and there's, of course, that melodic element to the music as well, which is absolutely amazing. You guys crushed it there. One of the tracks off this album, Asylum, actually has a music video, and it's definitely one of the coolest music videos I've seen. What was it like working on it and putting this together?
Well, it was kind of a little bit of just first of all, deciding what song we would use was hard. But I had suggested Asylum because the lyrics had such a good storyline, and I thought it would work really well with a video just because of that. Someone being in an insane asylum, and then basically they are experimented on, and they are injected with something that makes them basically into like I don't know if we call it superhuman, but at the end of the video, her eyes just like all of a sudden turn green, and then she can take out the doctors, and she basically breaks out of her straitjacket and stuff like that. So
yeah, we got really lucky finding the director of who made it. He kind of like took the idea that we had and just kind of like amplified it so much and gave it kind of like almost like a Reanimator, like 80s horror kind of vibe to it, which we all really loved.
Yeah, Seth Williams, who's really
shout out Flip City Films.
Yeah, he literally took what we had and kind of like storyboarded it out so perfectly, and I think all of us are like we couldn't have turned out better in our opinion.
Yeah, and the process itself was really long. You want to talk about that, Dave?
Oh yeah, sorry. It was wild. We had like 2 days, two 14-hour days of where we found an abandoned weapons building. Yeah, it was like a military building that built weapons in like World War II, and we filmed in there, just us playing for like 9 hours, and then Marley being a maniac for like the other like 10 hours. And it was pretty grueling for everyone, especially Marley. But it was very satisfying to see all the work and effort that we put into it amongst those 2 days just come out and look so beautiful thanks to Seth. He definitely made it shine through.
For sure. I mean, it definitely, you can tell that you guys put a lot of hard work and time into doing this. And it's so high energy, and it fits the song perfectly. I love it. So I know that you guys had trouble picking a song there. So if it wasn't going to be Asylum, what other track would you have made a music video for?
Dystopia, yeah. It was between Dystopia and Asylum. I think it was kind of a hard choice because I think musically Dystopia, we kind of all agree is kind of like a showcase of kind of, we just personally think it's kind of a more technical showcase of our band, but after Marley brought up the point about lyrically and the whole kind of story, and to be fair, Asylum, although it's not the name of the album, it's pretty much the title track as far as that's kind of what the whole theme of the album is. So it was kind of, without a doubt, once we thought about it like that, it had to be Asylum, because that was kind of the concept of our entire album. But yeah, if not, it would have been Dystopia.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems that Asylum worked best for what you guys were going for there. That's awesome, though. Here's kind of an interesting question for you guys. When people listen to your music or think about your band, what do you want to be remembered or known most for?
The crazy ass shows that we put on.
I think like live is a different experience than listening to an album, and I hope that every time we play a show, we get good feedback of people. We try and focus a lot on how our stage performance is and how we are on stage. We don't want to just be standing there, not moving at all, playing. So yeah, I would say
I don't
that.
know. I think I want to punch people in the gut with the vocals, the guitars, the drums, just everything. I really want it to stand out. A lot of going back to my vocals, there has been some complaint about the fact that I'm changing my style so much, but at some point, everyone complains at some point where they're like, oh, they're not different enough, they're not this enough. So I don't know. You kind of just got to go with your gut, and you are going to get haters here and there. But I love doing so many different types of vocals because it's very challenging, and I want to be remembered for that.
Going off of what Marley said, I am wholeheartedly with her on that. I want people to be able to listen to our music, hear her vocals, and be like, whoa, what the hell's going on? This is different, this is new, this is interesting. It's like when you hear Nevermore for the first time, you're like, where's the death metal growls? Why is this guy singing and like operatic? I love how Marley can be very deceiving with her vocals when you listen to our music, because she just really shines and brings out a different energy that other singers can't do.
Right. And honestly, I do not mind whenever musicians, bring in new styles or techniques into their, what they do, because that shows, versatility and strengths and skill set, the listener wants that, they want to know that you can do all of these various things within your particular talent range. So I think that that's awesome, that you guys you want to be known to be able to do that. It's really awesome. This kind of segues into the next question here perfectly. As Marley mentioned, like, you guys tend to get a bit crazy on stage. I know you guys have done a few live streams, I think, during this pandemic time. How does a live stream performance for you guys differ between like an on stage?
Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on the level you're talking about, obviously the fact that you don't really have an audience is a huge thing. Like, I think
we feed off that for sure.
Yeah, the relationship between band and audience is like one of the most important things of a show. I think it's really difficult to have a show without one or the other, obviously, but
No stage diving at a live stream.
yeah, I mean, we were kind of lucky. I think that, the first one was what we just did with ourselves, but when we did our second one, we invited some other friends of our, I think when we have 4 bands, so it was kind of nice there. At least we did have a little bit of an audience.
I still think that I wasn't quite as crazy as I normally would be.
Yeah, there's definitely, you're not going to get the same kind of feeling without crowd interaction, but obviously it's the best and only thing we can do because of the circumstances in the world right now.
Yeah, with going off of that, the only thing I can say is, like, like they said, we do feed off of the crowd interaction. So, like, in our typical Hyperia sense, we decided to, during our live stream, make like a drinking game for all the audiences that were watching, and just kind of be silly during it to kind of have our like kind of Hyperia take on a live stream, so that we could bring it as close as possible to like a live show, instead of just being like, well, here we are being boring this time, we still didn't want to give up at that point.
Also, there's the thing, unfortunately we had some technical issues with our last live stream. Luckily it was only for us, I think. I'm glad that it wasn't for every other band, because like I said, we already had a previous live stream that went really well. I think Facebook just couldn't handle like 5 hours of live.
Couldn't handle the metal.
So it kept kind of dropping out and cutting out, but it is what it is.
Right. I think that that's awesome, though, that you guys are finding, your own twist and how to engage with bands, during this crazy time. I know that it's really difficult for bands to not be able to see that audience, to know that, if they should be doing better, if they're doing okay right now. Like, it is difficult because there's no crowd. You're just staring into a camera or a phone or a tablet, It's crazy, but I think that that's awesome that you guys are finding out all these cool ways to make it, authentic to your band. That's definitely something really cool that you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. We always try and do something a little different if we can.
Do you guys have any more, live streams planned or even future gigs planned that fans should be aware about?
No, unfortunately, not right now. Right now, we're really focusing on working on a new album. We already have 10 songs as well as one or two covers that might make it on the album.
Only half of them have lyrics though so far.
Yeah, so we're kind of focusing on that. We're hoping to start recording that soon. Shows as far. We actually recently moved to Vancouver, Canada, from Calgary as a band. So in Vancouver, shows are still kind of not a thing. Unfortunately, I think they're slowly kind of starting to come back,
but it's totally different. I think a lot of them have like tables.
Yeah, well, it's different for metal shows just because you can't have like the mosh pit and stuff, and like, I mean, you can have like very limited seating, but it's totally different.
It's
right?
probably too expensive to have a bubble for everybody to roll around in.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, and a lot of venues have unfortunately shut down, so it's all up in the air. I'm sure it maybe is where you are as well, but I wish we could say shows, but it really doesn't look like it.
We'll have some music coming out for everybody, hopefully soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to hear your new music. I know that you guys, it seems like you just started working on this project, but do you guys have a theoretical idea of, when you would like to release the new piece that you're working on?
It'll hopefully be next year, but there's no kind of...
Right.
We don't know for sure. It's kind of, yeah, we want to take our time with it. We really want to make it, looking back on Insanitorium, I think there's a lot that we could definitely have done better as far as playing, production. So we really want to take our time and put out something that we're now going to be 100% happy with. But I would say hopefully it'll be out in 2021, but if it's mid or late, that's kind of, can't really say there.
Of course. It's always worth the wait, for the best product possible. So I'm going to just rapid fire some fun questions for you guys. Which one of you is most likely to get injured playing on, a stage?
Me.
Because he's clumsy, not because he's insane.
Or about the fact that I jump off stage sometimes.
Yeah, he jumps off stage. But also, I could probably get injured too because I'm in the crowd constantly. Because I have a wireless mic, so I'm always jumping into the crowd, and people are like, "Why are you doing that? You're so bad."
Yeah, actually, during one set, when when we were playing our last song, Evil Insanity, her mic cut out about halfway throughout the song.
All the mics cut out.
Oh yeah, so she just put it down and started crowd surfing while we kept playing the rest of the song. She was like, "Fuck it," and it actually turned out pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's badass. That's awesome. If you guys could pick two bands to play with live, who would they be?
Havoc.
Yeah, Havoc's got to be one of them.
Havoc is definitely one of them.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good mix. Yeah,
Thank you.
I agree with that.
Thank you for that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, obviously as a musician, you guys tend to make a lot of sacrifices for music. What would you say is the craziest thing that you've done for music?
Move to Vancouver.
Yeah, actually, probably.
It was a big move. It's about a 14-hour drive, and yeah, it was pretty grueling with moving all our stuff and finding a place and quitting. Well, luckily we got laid off because of COVID, so that worked out.
But yeah, moving basically to a city where we don't have family or friends or support really. So yeah, that's kind of wild. Yeah.
But luckily we did it together. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Except our bass player, but he'll hopefully be coming out in January or so.
It's always the bass player.
Yeah, he's wanting to come out. He just has his job is thinking of starting a company or like moving their company out to Vancouver too. So he's just working that out.
Right. So how are you guys like adjusting to this move? Like, I know that you guys have said that it's a completely new experience, no fans, no support or family. But how are you guys settling in?
Yeah, it's been really good so far. I think as bad as COVID has been, I think we've found kind of like the parts of it that are kind of, there's always good in every bad situation. So I think we took advantage of it being, I think, one of the best times to move in a way where, like they said, we're kind of all laid off and don't really have anything holding us back right now.
And we all got, all of us pretty much got jobs right away.
Yeah, everything's been like working out quite well in Vancouver. We're really excited to start playing shows again to see kind of how it is. We played one show here a couple of years or a year ago, and it was awesome. And we've heard nothing but good things about the Vancouver metal community, and we just can't wait to experience it for ourselves.
We made a few friends just in the metal community, but it is a little bit more difficult right now just because of COVID. But we're just kind of like laying low for a while and enjoying the scenery.
Working on music, like doing what we can do without leaving the house and without. It's not much to do right now. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I absolutely think that that's great for you guys. I'm excited. I'm so thrilled to see where you guys, take this new journey, and I hope you guys get to play some shows here soon, because I think that would be cool. I'm sure you guys are itching to get back on stage, so.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, and we'd love to tour the States. We just heard it was very difficult to come from Canada to the States, so we'll have to look into the logistics for that.
And the aftermath of everything.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
After that. See what happens.
Right. So I have one last question for you guys, and that is, being in a band and knowing, the logistics of everything and how it goes, what is some advice you would pass down to upcoming artists?
Yeah, I would just say, like, it's really important for you to do something different. I think it's also important, we got lucky where, like I said, like, each of us have a shared goal, but we have our own kind of influences, which it's not like everybody, there's so many bands where every member listens to the exact same 5 bands, and then inevitably you end up just sounding like a cookie cutter version of the bands that you like, which is a good thing. But I think if you really want to, it's important to set yourself apart and do something different, combine not just
a lot of risk too, right? Like,
yeah,
I would say a lot of people aren't risk takers. We have done a lot of risks in our band, and we've lost a lot and we've gained a lot. And I think you just got to keep going. And a lot of times people will just give up after a couple of things go wrong. And I think it's really important to just keep doing it. Otherwise, it's never going to happen for you. You got to keep at it, and I know that's kind of cliche, never give up kind of thing, but you really got to put your all into it. And so, for some people, it's difficult because they can't balance that with their, regular life.
I think a big thing too is realizing that the other bands in your city aren't necessarily your competition, and it's good to support them, and it's not you versus them. You're kind of all in it together, and if you support other bands, then you make friends with them and they'll support you, and to take away that kind of competitive aspect, I think that kills a lot of people's, it just makes like hostility within the metal scene, and kind of makes it like a weird place to be. So support everybody, and in return, hopefully they'll support you, and then everybody can prosper.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's a SoundChick here again. I hope you enjoy the interview with the members from Hyperia. In the meantime, please don't hesitate to check out this band's music, especially their latest album, Insanitorium. A couple of tracks that are my favorite off this project are Dystopia and Asylum. However, I think you should listen to the album for yourself to discover your favorite tracks. So go do that. I appreciate having you guys on this interview, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. If you're interested in reading up more of my interviews or music reviews that I do, follow me on my social media on Twitter or Instagram at RealSoundChick. This is a great place to see all of my updates, so definitely check it out there. In the meantime, rock on, my dudes.